Alright guys, welcome back to another Horror Room movie review, and today is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation from 1994. This movie, with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, has got to be the worst movie in the series. I know a lot of people like this movie, and I can understand how it would have a cult following. It's got some goofy moments in it, but yes, this has got to be easily the worst. There's just so much stuff in this movie that makes no sense, that just comes out of nowhere, and you're just trying to understand what the hell were they thinking with some of these scenes. It's just really, really bizarre. So I can understand why some people would enjoy this movie, just because it is so crazy, but as far as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre goes, it takes a few elements, and like, they don't eat people. Vilmer, Matthew McConaughey's character, stuffs people. He's got a few people around the house who he stuffs, and there's bones and things like that. They don't really eat people. I'm not sure how this goes with the storyline. It does follow the storyline, but there's still like a few missing parts, kind of. But yeah, anyways. The budget for this movie was $600,000, and it only made back $185,000. So, yeah, that's not very good. I do want to thank TV Girl for pointing out some of the cameos at the end to me. It has Franklin, Sally, and Grandpa from the very first movie at the very end, and kind of these small little cameo parts. And I thought it was really cool that they brought them back to do that. That was awesome. But anyways, the opening, where they talk about the previous movies, it talks about the killings in 1973 and how none of the family members were apprehended, which is not what they said in the third movie, because they said they caught a guy, D.W. Sawyer, I believe, is what they called him in the third movie, and they said he was caught and sent to the gas chamber. So they completely left that part out here. But, nothing happened for 10 years after the first killings, and then 2 minor incidents, which I guess was the second and third movie, and then nothing for 5 more years until now. So this one takes place May 22nd, 1996. It's prom night. There's this girl in a red dress at the prom, and she says something like, I think she's talking about a teacher, and she says she's just a bitch. And the acting is so bad. I mean, yes, Matthew McConaughey was the best guy in this movie, but it's Matthew McConaughey playing a crazy redneck. Did you think he was going to be bad at that? Is water wet? I mean, there's no surprise that he's going to be awesome at playing a crazy redneck, and he was great. But everyone else, even Renee Zellweger, kind of sucked. So, it's one of those movies. I mean, you're gonna laugh at a lot of stuff. It is supposed to be a disturbing horror movie, but there was just so many goofy moments. You could not get scared by this movie. It was just so silly. So Heather, one of the girls, catches her boyfriend Barry cheating on her, and she drives off. He gets in the car, and Sean and Jenny are in the back seat. They were smoking weed or something, and Barry tells Jenny, who is Renee Zellweger, that she can't get any guys because she's so ugly. And they end up having to take a detour, and they get run off the road by another car. The other driver is hurt, so Jenny, Barry, and Heather go through the woods to find a phone. They stop by this office, and the lady calls the tow truck driver, and some farmers drive by and throw something through the office window, and this lady, Darla, acts like this is normal and this happens all the time, and so she flashes them. A completely pointless scene, just there to add some nudity to this movie, I guess. Back at the accident, Matthew McConaughey shows up, Vilmer. He breaks the injured guy's neck, and he has this weird metal leg brace. That's another thing. The metal leg brace Leatherface wore in the third movie is now Vilmer's gimmick. So he's wearing this weird metal thing on his leg that is like a robotic leg that's controlled by TV remote controls. I'm not making any of this up. So he has all these TV remotes and he presses it and his leg moves up and down. It's really silly, but he's got this on his leg. And he chases Sean through the woods. He hits him with a tow truck and he drives back and forth over him. It's a kill scene with no gore. Like I said, $600,000 budget. Jenny, Heather, and Barry see a car coming down the road. It doesn't stop, so Heather and Barry chase after it. They come up to a house and no one answers, so Barry goes around back and a guy pulls a gun on him, who happens to be W.E. That's his name. Meanwhile, Leatherface sneaks up behind Heather and starts to smell her hair. When she sees him, he drags her in the house and stuffs her in a freezer. So the guy with the shotgun, W.E., forces Barry in the house. Barry walks in the front door and then turns around and locks the door behind him so that W.E. is locked out of the house. And W.E. is actually a good character. I like him in this movie. He is always, spouting off quotes from Shakespeare and other people, and that's like his gimmick in this movie. He's always doing that. So Barry goes looking around the house for Heather, and he stops to use the bathroom. He is really calm. None of this freaks him out. The guy pulling a gun on him, the weird house, the bathroom with wallpaper of skin, nothing freaks this guy out. And he sees a dead body in the tub, and he finally runs out of the bathroom. He runs into Leatherface, and Leatherface knocks him out with a hammer. And now that I think about it, this is the last time we ever see Barry. I mean, I don't know if that was a kill shot, but I guess it was. Pretty lame now that I think about it. Because I don't think they ever come back to Barry. So he puts Heather, Leatherface grabs Heather, and he puts her on a meat hook. Jenny takes a ride from the tow truck guy, Vilmer, even though he's sketchy as hell. And he makes her look in the back of the truck. She sees the bodies. She jumps out, tucks and rolls into a ditch, and he starts to chase her in the truck. She runs into the woods and he just leaves her. And of course Leatherface pops out. He's got the chainsaw. So Jenny runs into the house and she sees the body of a cop upstairs that's been stuffed. She takes his gun, but it's empty. And then she jumps out the window and starts to climb up the roof. Leatherface goes up there after her, and then he just starts destroying the chimney for no reason. Jenny jumps onto the power line and Leatherface cuts it, causing her to fall through the greenhouse. She runs back to the office and Darla tells her there's nothing to worry about. She calls W.E. Of course she's in on it, and W.E. shows up. He's got this electric poker thing that he just like prods people with, which was pretty funny. And he knocks out Jenny, puts her in Darla's trunk. So Darla drives to a pizza place to get supper. Like I said, they don't eat humans. And she tells Jenny to be quiet. She's in the back in the trunk making all this noise, so she tells her to be quiet. Jenny says, "Okay, but I can't breathe." So Darla like rips open these mouth holes in the bag, and then Jenny's quiet the rest of the way home. And there was actually some police that come up to the car, but Jenny's being quiet now, so nothing happens. So on the way back to the house, she comes across Heather. Darla's driving the car, and on this old dirt road, she sees Heather laying in the middle of the road. Somehow, Heather got off of the meat hook and out of the house without anyone else seeing this. And Darla picks up a stick, and I guess she's trying to kill her. She basically just taps her with the stick a few times. She gets to the house, and W.E. has Leatherface pick up Jenny. He shocks Leatherface with the poker thing. That was pretty funny. And W.E. and Darla start arguing. Vilmer takes Jenny out of the bag. Leatherface goes and picks Heather up out of the middle of the road. And Vilmer bends down. And I assumed at first he bit Heather's lips off. But it shows Heather again and she's fine. She just has a little blood on her nose. But he like kisses her or something, and then when he comes up he's got all this blood on his mouth. But all the scenes we see with Heather later, she's fine. So I don't know what he did. Darla tells Ginny that Vilmer works for the people who were behind everything, like the Kennedy assassination. He works for these very powerful people. And Vilmer takes Ginny into the kitchen. He slaps Darla. Darla starts beating him with her shoe. Leatherface is crying watching all of this. Ginny grabs the shotgun and tells them to all get down. Vilmer tosses Darla down and stands on her neck with his weird leg. And Ginny tries to wake up Heather, but she's not moving. She kind of gets up like she's going to leave with her, and then she just falls back down. So Vilmer grabs the gun, and he starts acting like a maniac. It was really weird and silly. But he grabs the shotgun, he starts acting crazy, and Ginny takes off. She gets in the car and backs it up into the side of the house, where Vilmer jumps off the roof onto the car. So Ginny runs out of the house, gets in this car, backs it up, and then Vilmer jumps off the roof, which means he had to go upstairs and know she was going to back up into the side of the house so that he could jump down. It's just unbelievable. But that's what happens. So she wrecks the car and she gets brought back for the dinner scene. Well, it's not really a dinner scene. And we see Leatherface getting dressed up like a woman, which was kind of creepy, but like I said before, anything that could have been creepy or disturbing in this movie was lost a long time ago just because of how silly it all was. So he's getting dressed up like a woman, and at dinner Vilmer starts screaming with Ginny. Leatherface starts screaming. And then Darla slaps Leatherface's hand, and then he looks all sad. He's not allowed to scream with the rest of them. But this family also has a grandpa. He does nothing, but he's there. He's just this really old man, and he looks like one of the stuffed people. But later on, he gets up, picks up a knife, leaves the room. We never see Grandpa again. That's just how this movie is. Things happen, and you never see him again, like Barry. So, let's see. Vilmer also calls Leatherface his brother. Now, I don't know if that was just supposed to be a friendly term or if it's supposed to be part of the Texas Chainsaw storyline. If they are related, I don't know. At this point, I just said to hell with it. I'm not trying to keep up with that anymore. But Vilmer knocks out W.E. with a hammer because he's crazy, and he storms off. So Ginny says that she's leaving, no one better try and stop her. Leatherface gets up and she tells him to sit the fuck down. And he does. This was not the best movie to showcase Leatherface as a big villain. He was... You kind of felt sorry for him, how everybody treated him so shitty. I mean, it was really weird, but he does sit back down. So Vilmer comes back and lights Heather on fire, which I gotta admit, I thought was funny. What happened to Heather? She's basically unconscious for this entire movie. And I can't think of anything that happened to her to knock her out. She was put in a freezer, but she was alive, she was kicking. She escaped from the freezer, she gets put on a meat hook. Somehow she escaped from that and then collapses in the road. She's brought back into the house. Vilmer does something to her face, don't know what, but she looked okay. And then she's just completely out at the dinner table. So he dumps something on her and then lights her on fire. And her back's on fire, she runs into a wall. They put her out, and then she's out again forever. I mean, it's... I don't understand what happens. Like, she wasn't hit in the head or anything that I can remember. So it just doesn't make any sense. But he lights Heather on fire. So a limo pulls up. And this is where things just start to get really weird. A limo pulls up and this guy in a suit comes into the house. And Ginny thinks he's going to help her. Of course he's in on it too. And he tells Vilmer that he is appalled and he wanted the people to experience horror. He starts to insult Vilmer, put him down, and he undoes his shirt and he has these weird scars and piercings on him. He goes over to Jenny, he starts to lick her face, and then he leaves the room. So Darla, I'm thinking, is this supposed to be one of those powerful guys? Maybe Darla was telling the truth. Maybe Matthew McConaughey does work for this organization. Either way, it's stupid. It doesn't matter if she was telling the truth, because this is a completely pointless scene once again. It's not hard to make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's really not. And I don't understand. The first one was so good because it was so simple. It was believable. There could be a crazy family out there. The Ed Gein stuff they based it off of was true. He had all this crazy stuff in his house made of human body parts he got from the graveyard. That could happen. This is insane. And I don't understand why they just got so crazy. So where am I here? Vilmer crushes Heather's head with his metal leg. We don't see it. We just hear it. He grabs Jenny, but she grabs the remote that controls Vilmer's leg. He pulls out a remote. They have a remote battle over his leg. It's moving back and forth. This is supposed to be suspenseful, I guess. Jenny runs out of the house, and the limo's gone. Leatherface chases her, and Vilmer tries a bunch of different remotes on his leg until he finds one that works. And then once his leg starts moving, he just goes, "Vilmer!" and just screams it. Really, really weird. Some old people in an RV pick up Jenny, but Leatherface and Vilmer show up in the tow truck and cause them to wreck. Jenny climbs out of the wreck. Leatherface and Vilmer are chasing after her. And this is seriously what happens. A plane flies down and cuts Vilmer's head. And Leatherface starts crying. I just cannot picture a director having this scene happen and saying, "Perfect. That's what we want. A low-flying plane to cut Vilmer's head. That's how we're going to kill off Vilmer. A plane." Just, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. So a limo shows up and Jenny gets in. It's the guy with the scars. He says it was supposed to be a spiritual experience. He asks if she wants to go to the hospital or the police station. The next thing we see is Jenny in the hospital talking to the guy who played Grandpa, the cop. He's playing a cop in this movie. He's asking what happened. She sees a gurney go by with Sally on it, who's, completely zoned out, and Franklin pushing her. Couldn't really see Franklin's face. I was a bit disappointed by that. And that's it. The last thing we see is Leatherface, dressed as a woman, spinning around holding the chainsaw. That was the end of this movie. I do know people like this one, but this is just a little too much for me. I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love the franchise. I love the first 2 movies. Third one was alright. I do enjoy the remake with Jessica Biel. And it's a great concept. It's a great story. And it's just an easy horror movie. This is just way too much. It doesn't really feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre to me. I liked the Leatherface. I liked how they tried to make him creepy. But everything else in the movie just worked against it. It couldn't be scary because they had so much other stupid shit going on. So yeah, I can't really say that I enjoyed this one too much. I do have to say though that if you're ever in this situation in real life, the way you survive being captured by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family is you have to be, and this is from my horror movie experience, this is what I personally think you should do. You have to be crazier than them. That's the only way you're surviving, is to be crazier than them or try and work with them and make them think you're one of them until you get a chance to escape. That's the only way you're getting out of there. So, and that's just something I think no one ever tries to do. But anyways, that's my review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I'll be back with the remake with Jessica Biel next. So I hope you guys like this video. Leave your thoughts on this movie in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Bye. Vilmer, Matthew McConaughey's character, stuffs people. He's got a few people around the house who he stuffs, and there's bones and things like that. They don't really eat people. I'm not sure how this goes with the storyline. It does follow the storyline, but there's still like a few missing parts, kind of. But yeah, anyways, the budget for this movie was $600,000, and it only made back $185,000. None of the family members were apprehended, which is not what they said in the third movie, because they said they caught a guy, D.W. Sawyer, I believe, is what they called him in the third movie, and they said he was caught and sent to the gas chamber. So they completely left that part out here. But nothing happened for 10 years after the first killings, and then 2 minor incidents, which I guess was the second and third movie, and then nothing. Alright guys, welcome back to another Horror Room movie review, and today is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation from 1994. This movie with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger has got to be the worst movie in the series. I know a lot of people like this movie, and I can understand how it would have a cult following. It's got some goofy moments in it, but yes, this has got to be easily the worst. There's just so much stuff in this movie that makes no sense, that just comes out of nowhere, and you're just trying to understand what the hell were they thinking with some of these scenes. It's just really, really bizarre. So I can understand why some people would enjoy this movie, just because it is so crazy, but as far as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre goes, it takes a few elements, and like, they don't eat people. So yeah, that's not very good. I do want to thank TV Girl for pointing out some of the cameos at the end to me. It has Franklin, Sally, and Grandpa from the very first movie at the very end, and kind of these small little cameo parts. And I thought it was really cool that they brought them back to do that. That was awesome. But anyways, the opening where they talk about the previous movies, it talks about the killings in 1973 and how